What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of The 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best gaming related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. Before we get into the show for the day, guys, I wanted to go ahead and just give you guys a huge thank you. We surpassed 5,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Absolutely incredible, guys. 5,000 of you who are, some of you are new, some of you have been here for a while. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. 5,000 subscribers, guys, that's a big deal, right? When the grand scope of YouTube, when you look at a lot of other YouTubers out there, you obviously can see that there are YouTubers that have way more subscribers than 5K, but you also can find a lot of YouTubers out there that have way less than 5,000 subscribers. It's a big deal, guys, to me, and doing this for fun and doing this just because I'm very passionate about filmmaking and, content creation. It's absolutely awesome that we've come this far so far, from starting this YouTube channel back in 2018, uploading every single day, since July of 2018, uploading every single day. It just shows that work, that dedication, that grind that you guys help motivate me to continue to do. It really can lead us to places that we never thought that we could get to. And I stated at the beginning of this year, guys, that my goal is to get to 10,000 subscribers here in 2021. So we're halfway there. And now it's just about continuing to put in that work, continuing to bring you guys as high a quality content and the kinds of content that you guys want to see. Talking about the future of games, the future of the entertainment industry, learning more about what I do on, just in general, in real life and things of that nature, where we can really have real conversation, whether it's here on YouTube, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever it is, guys. I think this has become a really great place for me to connect with as many of you as possible and try to give you guys as high a quality content. The kind of content that I would want to see is the content that I create and the kind of content that we don't really see much here on YouTube. And so it's something that I'm just really excited about. I can't wait to continue creating content for all of you guys moving forward. And I want to say thank you once again for all of the support up to this point, guys. It means the world to me. Let's keep going. Ark 2 is an upcoming sequel, guys, to none other than the original title Ark, which obviously many of us really did enjoy. And I think that we can agree after watching the teaser trailer for Ark 2, this one promises to be bigger and even better than the original, which I think all of us were pretty much anticipating and hoping that it was going to go to the next level, to say the least. And so I want to go ahead and talk about everything that we know so far about Ark 2, guys, even though it's still pretty early and it's hard to say when we're going to actually get our hands on this game, but we certainly can speculate, and I would love to have a real conversation with you guys in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So in an article written by Melindy Hetfeld of Games Radar, the next step in Ark's evolution is Ark 2, and it looks huge. So with Ark 2, the Game Awards 2020 had another big surprise announcement. It's in a surprise to learn about Ark 2 because the first game, Ark Survival Evolved, still has a healthy player base. The other thing that's certainly eye-popping about Ark 2 is the involvement of none other than actor and Ark superfan Vin Diesel. So what can we expect, though, guys? Really quick, what I will say about the original Ark being Ark Survival Evolved, I played it on console. I play it on the Xbox One, and what I got to say, guys, is I have had issues with bugs and glitches and things of that nature, and that kind of reminds me somewhat of like some of the bugs and things that we had even in games like No Man's Sky on console. Now I know a lot of people say that it's better on PC and such, but that has kind of hurt my experience, even though I think there is definitely deep down a very good game from, just by playing it, guys, over the course of time, you can see that there is certainly a great, a structure, a great storyline. They've got like a lot of things here. That's why I'm hoping with Ark 2, we're going to see them evolve and really kind of fix a lot of those mistakes, especially on consoles, but even just kind of evolving over time, guys, with this franchise is what I think really needs to happen. But the big question is what is Ark 2? So Ark 2 is Studio Wildcard's sequel to Ark Survival Evolved. the multiplayer survival sandbox with dinos. According to a tweet by the developer, the overall gameplay idea of Ark isn't set to change in the sequel. It will still be a multiplayer game, and you will still be able to fight and tame creatures in order to help ensure your survival as best as possible. There are a lot of different dinosaurs in Ark, but also other prehistoric or otherwise extinct creatures, which you can not only make into your own large zoo if you so wish, but also ride and breed. It's not all fun though, as the survival the game's title hints at is an essential point of the experience. Ark is notorious for leaving players to figure out mechanics on their own through death, and more death, as well as plenty of stories of high-level players just raising through weaker players' camps. Now, what I'm going to say about the multiplayer experience here, guys, of the Ark Survival Evolved is, look, many of us enjoy the multiplayer experiences, but there's some of us who don't like it as much. And I'm one of those people that I embrace all of gaming and all types of different games and such. I enjoy, of course, Ark for being a multiplayer experience, but I really do want it to be more of a full package. And it doesn't seem like we're going to get that here with Ark 2. But obviously, we can keep our fingers crossed. And when I say a full package, guys, we talk about it all the time. I believe every AAA title should have a full package. That's being multiplayer, co-op modes, and a full-blown campaign. And the reason is because it justifies the cost of a $60 price tag or whatever the case might be, because you're getting more out of it than just that single player experience, or just that multiplayer experience, or just those co-op modes. You're getting a little bit of everything, which I think is what all these AAA titles should be doing. Looks like multiplayer is certainly the most, definitely the most popular mode out of all the different, modes that are out there in gaming up to this point. But I would really like to see Ark 2 also have, evolved from the perspective of having other modes outside of just multiplayer. That's just my thoughts. I would love to hear yours in the comment section below. The point of Ark 2 doesn't seem to be a complete upheaval of that concept, but for Studio Wildcard to make use of the new hardware to make a new world bigger and more beautiful than that of the first. The trailer does certainly look impressive. It's rendered in-engine and uses actual game assets, and if it weren't for the slightly rough facial animations and occasional stiff posture, you could mistake it for a CGI trailer. And I agree. I think the trailer looks absolutely incredible, guys. Just from the graphical perspective, I can't, that's something that really gets me excited about this title. Now, the big question people want to know is, when is the release date? So while we don't have a specific date, we have been given a rough 2022 Ark 2 release date window. Microsoft is yet to clarify whether that's a full launch or an early access launch, since Ark 2 could follow the same release model as Ark Survival Evolved. The first game launched into what back then was Xbox's preview program in 2015, ahead of the full launch in 2017. So I'm hoping we're a couple of, we're going to be able to get our hands on this game sooner rather than later. But I think, as with the current world situation, I'm sure that there's a possibility that these things could be delayed. This is a title that could get delayed, as with many other titles out there. It could get delayed. Maybe it'll stay on course, and hopefully it comes out in 2022. And that sounds about right to me, 2022 or 2023. Now, what will the Ark 2 platform releases be? So Ark 2 is an Xbox Series X as console launch exclusive. If things go the way they did with Survival Evolved, this will also include PC before a PS5 version will eventually follow. Microsoft also points out that Ark 2 will be optimized for Xbox Series X and S. So will there be a story here? That's the big question, guys, for people like myself who love the full packages. It's not certain Ark 2 will have a traditional storyline to follow. As a multiplayer experience, Ark Survival Evolved did eventually add lore for you to discover, which explained the island sci-fi background, but you're welcome to ignore all of that just as easily and make your own fun. And I disagree with that, though, because, look, you can make your own fun, obviously, guys. It's, with like games like Minecraft, and Ark is, of course, one of those titles that you can make your own fun. But at the same time, I love having like somewhat of a structure, too, in certain elements. It's great to have the free roam capabilities, but it's also great to be able to have an actual, living, breathing place that you're able to kind of experience through a campaign, where you see that story, the story arc, no pun intended, and see things that happen where you can really connect with the characters and the lore and the story, which can not only create a real legacy for the title, but can also push it forward into future titles as we go. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, you see Vin Diesel, of course, showing up in Ark 2 as far as from that teaser trailer. Maybe there is more here than what was in the original ARC title. Now, we don't expect ARC 2 to go full Final Fantasy 14, but with the pivotal role Vin Diesel played in the trailer, it's not far-fetched to assume he's going to be around for more than a marketing stunt. According to Microsoft, his character is named Santiago, and while the tribe he leads appears to be mostly eaten by the time the trailer wraps up, he clearly has a family to take care of. Maybe you will be able to complete quests with or for Santiago, which I agree. I think that would be something really interesting, but I would like to be able to either have him as a playable character or be able to be someone who's in his tribe that you're able to kind of follow that progress in that story. What is Vin Diesel doing in ARC 2 anyway? It's always exciting to see a big-name actor involved in a video game, whether it's Norman Reedus in Death Stranding or Dave Bautista in Gears 5. Perhaps Studio Wildcard working with Vin Diesel is simply a happy accident. The actor is known to be a big nerd who's enjoyed video games and a good game of D&D for years. According to Microsoft, he's simply a fan of ARC with a playtime of around about 1,000 hours, a medium time for the community. So that's a pretty big deal. That's putting in 1,000 hours for Vin Diesel, who's really busy, obviously making his movies. He's definitely a fan, to say the least, guys. He understands the game intimately and is providing direct feedback to the development process, Studio Wildcard says. Apparently that also involves logging bugs in ARC. It's not clear how heavily involved he is with the game, but it's fair to say Vin Diesel is a game developer now. So not only that, but the animated series is also chock full of A-list actors. Vin Diesel as Santiago will, of course, be there, but also the likes of Gerard Butler, Michelle Yeoh, David Tennant, Russell Crowe, Carl Urban, Elliot Page, and many more, some of whom you can already hear in the trailer. So the animated series, guys, chronicles the story of a mysterious primeval land populated by dinosaurs and other extinct creatures where people from throughout human history have been resurrected. When 21st century Australian paleontologist Helena Walker awakes on the Ark after a tragedy, she must learn to survive and find new allies or die again at the hands of ruthless warlords, all while trying to uncover the true nature of their strange new world. So what's interesting, guys, is that ARC the animated series is kind of, being announced alongside ARC 2, which is really cool. And this gives me that real hope that we're going to see a full-blown story here in ARC 2. More so than what we saw in ARC Survival Evolved, where they kind of gave you, little tidbits of pieces of a story to try to put, different, puzzle pieces together. This seems like it could be something much more, and they're definitely insinuating that it is based upon the animated series that was also announced to try to really give you an idea of the scope of this world that they're trying to create. I gotta say, guys, I am really excited and intrigued for, ARC 2. Whenever it does release, I'm very intrigued by it. I just would love to see a full package, as we've always talked about here on the YouTube channel, where you got the multiplayer modes, you've got the co-op modes, but you also have a full-blown story as well. And they obviously, they kind of put their feet in the water, or their toes in the water, so to speak, and with ARC Survival Evolved when it came to the campaign. But let's see them go all in here on the concept of a full package to really bring the community at large back to ARC 2, but also, and to kind of continue that, but also to bring new people in and keep people in after they beat the campaign. They can play multiplayer or play co-op or vice versa. It gives people so much opportunity, and that's what I want to see here with ARC 2, because I want to see this franchise. I've always loved dinosaur games. I would love to see a game like this really grow in massive popularity. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you all think about ARC 2? You guys excited about it? Are you skeptical about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more ARC 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. You guys know that I'm a massive StarCraft fan. StarCraft is one of the big three to me, that being one of the 3 greatest games ever created. Obviously the big 3 being Call of Duty, StarCraft, and Gears of War. Those are my big 3, guys. And I know all of you probably have your top games of all time. Those have been my top 3 for a long time. I call them the big 3. And, StarCraft, I want to talk in this segment of the show. We've made a lot of StarCraft content, guys. We've made a lot of StarCraft 3 content. You guys can check out all of that content here on the YouTube channel. But I want to talk, guys, about some of my thoughts and feelings towards StarCraft 3 as of late. I have preached on this YouTube channel that we as the community need to get Blizzard and, really try to echo StarCraft 3 into existence, get this game made. It's something that me as a huge fan of this franchise, I've wanted to see the continuation of StarCraft moving forward. And at this point in time, guys, I am concerned about it. I'm concerned about StarCraft 3 ever happening, and I'll explain why. We know that there has been a real adjustment, some real change happening over at Blizzard, that being Activision Blizzard, right? A lot of people are leaving Blizzard for other ventures. We see Frost Giant Studios being created from a lot of former Blizzard employees, from guys and girls who worked on StarCraft from, development to the esports scene to all these different things. They now started their own studio called Frost Giant Studios. Then on the flip side of that, you have more people from Blizzard that are, creating their own company, that being Dreamhaven. And we're seeing that Frost Giant Studios, especially, are in the early process, at least we think it's the pretty early process, of creating the next real-time strategy title. And the reason why they're doing it is because they love RTS games, but it's also because it sounds like StarCraft 3 was not something that was in the cards for Blizzard. Activision Blizzard just decided not to really continue it. Now they're supporting StarCraft 2, they're supporting that esports scene, but for how much longer? And I've stated, guys, us as a community, it's been really tough for me to watch because I love StarCraft 2 so much, but I've stated for years that we need StarCraft 3. I know that people are concerned about, what it would look like and, would this help us continue, pushing this RTS genre forward. I believe it would. And even if it didn't, you could always go back to StarCraft 2, right? But us never even getting necessarily the chance to experience that or to even see if it would be something really big because the community's too concerned or worried that it's going to, StarCraft 2 is fine and let's just keep playing StarCraft 2. I mean, StarCraft 2 is great, guys, but the problem is that when you become complacent with where it is that you are, whether it's in life or when we talk about the video game industry, when you become complacent with where you are as a title, as a franchise, that's where bad things can happen. People end up moving away to other games. People stop, really caring about a certain genre. We know StarCraft has been talked about a lot over at Activision Blizzard, but in a different way, that being a StarCraft first-person shooter title that would probably try to compete with, Overwatch and Call of Duty and all these titles that they own. And then, of course, outside of what, Activision Blizzard owns, games like Valorant, CSGO, and things of that nature. A StarCraft first-person shooter, I think, would be great, but obviously it would still not necessarily cure that itch for a StarCraft 3 RTS title. But just seeing all these people leaving Blizzard to start their own studios, their own ventures, concerns me. It truly concerns me that we might be to a place where StarCraft 3 may never happen. And that's really sad. Obviously, we're going to get more RTS titles, and obviously the one that we're really looking forward to, very anticipated about, is the one coming from Frost Giant Studios. But StarCraft, I think, that universe, that world, is just as big as a world like Star Wars, in my opinion. Star Wars, it's this, huge universe, guys, that is being explored as we speak. And they're, creating so many, that being Disney, are creating so much, whether you're talking video games or you're talking the movies, the TV shows, they're doing so much now where George Lucas and Lucasfilm, when it was just a much smaller franchise, they weren't really, kind of venturing off as much. Now Disney is doing that so much, and I feel like StarCraft is the same type of thing. It's really in that early inception phase where it's kind of like with George Lucas and Lucasfilm, they make a number of films and then they stopped. and they didn't know that full potential of, creating so much more. StarCraft, I think, should have a mobile game. I think it should have a first-person shooter title. It should continue as a RTS, which is how it started. And I think doing all of those things would certainly continue the legacy, the lore, the story of StarCraft. It would give us years upon years of more content and, memories and enjoying, those things. I just think StarCraft deserves to coexist. It's one of the founding fathers of esports. And it's really sad to think that this is a title that may never continue. Now, maybe it will, but it kind of reminds me of what Turtle Rock Studios is doing, to combat against, Valve never creating another Left 4 Dead title. They're creating Back 4 Blood over at Turtle Rock Studios because they essentially, they didn't necessarily say it, but the fact of the matter is that Valve isn't working on Left 4 Dead, a continuation, a Left 4 Dead 3. So Turtle Rock Studios says there's still an opportunity here. They have a massive fan base around Left 4 Dead and people want to play that, a continuation. So why not do it just in a different way, that being Back 4 Blood? And that's what Frost Giant Studios is attempting to do, to combat and bring a bunch of people from the StarCraft community over to that title. I'm concerned. I am concerned about StarCraft 3 happening now, guys. It's starting to feel like the writing's on the wall, that it's not going to last much longer. It could last maybe it'll last another 5 years, 10 years, who knows. But to me, the writing's on the wall that the end of StarCraft is coming. If we as a community don't voice our opinion and really stress to Blizzard that we want these games a continuation made. Now, StarCraft first-person shooter was certainly on their minds. They greenlit 2 first-person shooters, StarCraft Ghost and then an untitled StarCraft first-person shooter title. Both of them got canceled after they had been greenlit. So whether it's creative differences or it's just, issues going on between Activision and Blizzard, it's hard to say. But I am very, I would absolutely love to see what a StarCraft 3 could do for the community. Now, I would not blame the community in its totality for not wanting to evolve StarCraft. Not, because they've stated many times that they'll make a StarCraft 3, this being Blizzard, they would make a StarCraft 3 if the community wanted it. But if the community is just pretty complacent with StarCraft 2, they're not going to do it. They're not going to make a StarCraft 3. And then we're going to end up going into a very unknown space in the StarCraft universe where maybe the StarCraft esports scene isn't, going to be supported anymore by the developers. We've already seen them kind of take their foot off the gas. They've kind of have given the reins to DreamHack and, ESL. There's reason to be bullish about the StarCraft future, and I want to be very bullish about it. But there's also reason to think that it's just not going to happen because, the community is complacent with StarCraft 2, and the developers, obviously, former developers over at Blizzard have moved away to create their own studios to combat against, StarCraft, and not necessarily against it, but because they have that passion for an RTS title. Frost Giant Studios wants to do it. Dreamhaven will probably do it. It's an unfortunate thing, guys. I want to know from you guys, though, do you think it's all doom and gloom for StarCraft, or do you think there's a glimmer of hope somewhere or another? I'll be sure to give you guys more information as it comes out regarding StarCraft and the future of StarCraft 3, what could happen here, moving forward. We're going to continue making videos, guys, until it is a done deal where Blizzard states that they will never make a StarCraft 3 title. We will continue trying to push the narrative that a StarCraft 3 needs to be made to continue the legacy lore of the esports scene, of the story. One of the greatest games ever made, in my personal opinion. But let me know, guys. Let's have a conversation about it in the comment section down below. And for more StarCraft 3 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Immortals Phoenix Rising was a pleasant surprise for me, guys. I played it on the Nintendo Switch, and I gotta say, what a pleasant surprise. Sure, it's not a perfect game, but no game out there is perfect. And what I'm going to say about Immortals Phoenix Rising, guys, is this is probably a very unpopular opinion, but maybe some of you will agree. Immortals Phoenix Rising, to me, was a much better experience, a much more fun experience than that of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is a title that is being compared to Immortals Phoenix Rising. I thought that Immortals, guys, was just from the combat perspective to even the landscapes and all of those different things. Sure, Breath of the Wild certainly has its charms and its excitements, but I thought that especially from a combat perspective, Immortals Phoenix Rising, there is absolutely no comparison. I believe that Immortals is absolutely leap years better as far as from a combat perspective than that of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. You could argue about the environments. You could even argue about the story and such. Sure, it's a little bit more, you know, the obviously like the voice acting and things of that nature, a little bit more goofy in Immortals, in my opinion. But, you know, from a story perspective, I think Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild probably has it there. But just as an overall experience for me, I really enjoyed Immortals Phoenix Rising. Actually quite a bit more than that of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like I said, that's probably not a very popular opinion, but I always like giving you guys my thoughts and opinions on these games so we can have real conversation about it in the comment section down below. So go ahead and do that, guys. And while you're at it, smash that thumbs up button, guys, for the algorithm. It definitely helps me out a ton. But look, with that, I want to talk in this segment of the show, talking about Immortals Phoenix Rising, about multiplayer. And look, I talk about this all the time, guys. Every AAA title out there that is ever made, or is made from this point onwards, or I should say from a number of years back onwards, should have full packages, which justifies the price tag. That being, guys, campaign, multiplayer, and co-op modes. And I believe that Immortals Phoenix Rising is no different. This is a title that could obviously, in my opinion, have co-op modes where you play with your friends going up against waves and waves of enemies, even if that was what it was. Multiplayer experiences where you're like in this broad open world, guys, and you come across different people, like similar to like Ark Survival Evolved, or, you know, there's just a number of different titles out there that you could have multiplayer components to it. That being said, we don't have anything when it comes to Immortals Phoenix Rising outside of the story. There looks like there's potential to have co-op modes, but no split screen, nothing of that nature. And I think it's very unfortunate because this is a title that has so much potential to be so much more than just a story mode. I say this all the time about games like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Death Stranding, you know, a lot of those PlayStation exclusives, but even on the Xbox side, you know, Xbox, I feel, has done a really good job of making full packages around their titles. Now, we'll have to wait and see when they bring out games like Fable and, you know, Avowed and games of that nature. But like games like Gears of War, guys, has these full packages that those are the types of packages I'm so drawn to. You know, StarCraft, Call of Duty. These are all titles that have full packages that gets you to play for hours upon hours and to come back over and over again. Immortals Phoenix Rising, I believe, could have really capitalized on things that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild did not do. And that would have been one of the big things, would have been a full package where not only do you get to play that story, which, sure, you know, there's certain elements to it that are, you know, kind of goofier on the goofier side, but I think Immortals Phoenix Rising really knows what it is. It knows what it is as a game, and it knows what it does really well. And I think the combat was great. I just think, guys, that if you were to take the story, or after you're done playing the story, because I wanted more kind of thing. After you're done playing it, you want more, not just playing the campaign over again, but other ways you can connect with this franchise. And I'm not talking just like Reddit and things of that nature. I'm talking about being able to like go back in the game, play multiplayer with your friends, or play with your friends on co-op, play by yourself in multiplayer if you want, or whatever the case might be. Where is Immortals Phoenix Rising multiplayer? We continue to talk about titles, guys, that get released without multiplayer experiences, or state that there are going to be multiplayer experiences, but we have to wait for them. They're not there at launch, like The Last of Us Part 2, like Cyberpunk 2077. And look, it's very deflating when you know, games release and they're going to have a multiplayer at some point, but then it's not there at launch, which in my opinion is really bad, because after people have done playing the campaign a couple of times, they move on to other games, and you might forget that there was even a multiplayer coming for The Last of Us or for Cyberpunk or something of that nature. It's just really unfortunate to me in the gaming industry where that is at this point. I mean, I just think that full packages for AAA titles, at least, they should be standard all the way around. Now, if you're talking a free-to-play game like Valorant or Fortnite or, Call of Duty Warzone, then obviously those are titles, guys, that could just have multiplayer modes. Or if a game came out and it was just a story mode, but it's free to play, it justifies it, being just a story mode because it's free, right? But if you're gonna charge money to people, and most of the time it's a $60 price tag, I just believe that it needs to be a full package, because that's what's going to help a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times it's going to help these franchises move forward into future expansions, into future, games. And Immortals Fenyx Rising, I want to see a continuation of it. I really do. I think there's absolutely something there. This could definitely be the rival to The Legend of Zelda moving forward. I truly believe that. But it's not going to have much on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild if it only stays in one space, similar to what Legend of Zelda has done, where it's just a story. If you also add other things outside of it, it gives people more reason to come to the game and play the game, at least try it out, and stay for a long period of time and really be a part of this community. So we have not heard any word that Immortals Fenyx Rising is going to get a multiplayer mode or it's going to get co-op modes. It's not looking really good. Now, you can never say never, but we just haven't really heard much on, whether or not there was going to be a Immortals Fenyx Rising multiplayer. There was definitely talks of it. There's a lot of people on Reddit and social media that talk about it in the, Immortals, realm and on those forums and in the community. But I really think, guys, that we have to be the ones as a community, once again, we have to be the ones that voice our opinion to the developers, stating that we want this, we want that, we want a camp, we want the multiplayer, we want co-op modes so we can play with our friends. You voice your opinion to those things, and not always, it's not always going to work out, but a lot of times these developers will hear what people want. They hear the feedback, and if they're smart, similar to, to Hello Games, where, of course, the developers of No Man's Sky, where they hear all the feedback, they implement those things, into No Man's Sky that had so many issues at launch, and now look at what it's become. This living, breathing place that has all types of, hundreds of thousands of hours that you could put into into that world. Immortals Fenyx Rising could be something like that, or just add other modes outside of that story that could really get us as a community to continue, coming back to the title over and over again. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this, because you guys know my thoughts. If you've been accustomed to my channel, you know my thoughts on, AAA titles and what should be standard. The standard is the standard, and I think the standard is you take a game like Call of Duty, game like Grand Theft Auto, you take a game where that's a massive franchise, and you look at it and you say, okay, what are they doing right? And when you look at it, they are catering to every type of gamer who would enjoy Call of Duty. They're catering to the guys who just love doing campaign. They cater to the guys who and girls who love doing the multiplayer. They cater to the guys and girls who love doing co-op and just side missions and things of that nature. They're catering to guys and girls who love doing Battle Royale now. They make it all available, and that's why it is the biggest game and the best-selling game every single year. And it's a juggernaut. And I'm not saying that Immortals Fenyx Rising would be that big, because I think it takes a long time to get to that point. But you could do little things that can continue helping to build the community over time. But let me know, guys, what do you all think? Let's have a real conversation about it in the comment section down below. And for more Immortals Fenyx Rising content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the YouTube channel about Infamous and this franchise, past, present, and what could very well be the future of it in the future. And I want to talk in this segment of the show about Infamous 4 and this franchise, like I said, moving forward, guys, and everything that we know so far, even though it's very early and the speculation is starting to ramp up and the early, rumblings that this game is in production, we can certainly speculate, we can certainly talk about it, and I would certainly love to have a real conversation with all of you guys in the comment section down below about it. So let's get into it. So in an article, guys, written by Michael Herodens of PSU, Sucker Punch renews Infamous domain and a new PS5 game is in development. So Development Sucker Punch Productions has renewed the infamousthegame.com domain, possibly hinting that a new entry in the franchise is being considered. Could it be a PS5 port of Infamous Second Son or something new entirely? Infamous domain getting renewed by Sucker Punch, guys. These guys obviously are the ones who worked and are working consistently on Ghost of Tsushima. Sucker Punch has been busy the past 4 years or so working on Ghost of Tsushima, which finally launches for the PS4, which obviously it did, guys, and got great reviews. What can these guys achieve, though, for the PS5? And a new Infamous game seems like a solid bet for its next project. Roberto Serrano tweeted out saying, "Wake up, infamousthegame.com domain renewed by Sucker Punch. After Ghost of Tsushima, the team will have focus on a new project, maybe a new Infamous game for PS5. It's so soon to talk about it," which is very true. It's very soon to talk about it, guys. But here's the deal. Ghost of Tsushima comes out. But this game was renewed before Ghost of Tsushima even came out. So what that's telling you is they're looking at potentially making a new Infamous game. Now, I've stated many times, guys, I really love the Infamous titles overall. The first one was really good. I thought it was the best one. I'll say, as a comparison with Infamous, it reminds me of Prototype. I really liked Prototype more than Infamous, but I think that there's a lot of possibility with Infamous as well as a game like Prototype. Prototype doesn't look like it's going to get a continuation, even though I think it should. Infamous is another title that we haven't seen for quite some time. Like, having a continuation, I think we need to see a continuation, to say the least. I mean, not saying that Ghost of Tsushima wasn't good, because I thought it was great, but I would like to see Sucker Punch kind of come back. It's been a number of years. I think they could have some fresh ideas and really breathe new life into this title. This ties in neatly with news that Sucker Punch is currently hiring for what we assume to be its next project, although there's no clue as to what that might be yet. Sucker Punch made a name for itself working on the Sly Cooper franchise and later moved to Infamous in the PS3 era. The studio was purchased back by Sony back in August of 2011, so it's doubtful that the format holder would want one of its most prolific series to be put on ice for much longer. And I agree 100% with that, guys. I mean, like, why would you, as a developer or as a publisher, why would you, knowing that Sucker Punch owns this IP, why would you want them just to sit on it? At least bring like some kind of remaster or something into the fray. But I would say make a new Infamous title with the announcement of a remaster where both games are like coming out kind of near each other, so that you got people that are going to obviously want to kind of rehash what they, kind of the past of what happened in Infamous, be able to play it, and then obviously get them ready for the upcoming, future of the Infamous title, that being Infamous 4. Obviously, we don't know anything about Infamous 4 at this point, because obviously it's not, it's obviously not here yet. It hasn't even been announced at this point in time. But them renewing the domain does tell you something, that there is a possibility that they're working on something behind the scenes regarding Infamous. And we as a community, guys, once again, we've got to voice our opinion to the developers, to Sony, stating that we want another Infamous game made. Where is Infamous 4, guys? I think it could very well, at this point in time, be in development. Even if it's in the early stages of development, there is definitely a possibility that this game could be getting made at this very moment. The moment that we're speaking right now, guys, it could be getting worked on. But if it's not, we as a community need to come together and we need to voice our opinion to none other than Sucker Punch and Sony and state, look, we want another Infamous game. Ghost of Tsushima is great. I would love to see a continuation of that at some point or another. But come back to Sucker Punch. We saw the graphics from Ghost of Tsushima and how great it was, and the story and all of that. Come back to Infamous. Let's see what they could do here, making Infamous 4 on none other than the PS5. it could be something pretty special, guys. Let me know, though, in the comment section down below. Where do you think Infamous 4 is? Do you think we'll ever get it? Do you think it's just going to be in a limbo state, a state of no return? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Infamous 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.